Welcome to the April 2025 version of the Philmont Trek Talk live chat that we do right here on whatever platform you're watching on. We're on a whole bunch of them. So thanks for being here. We appreciate you. Let's see what we do every month. We get together a panel of experts, or at least the best people we can find, to talk about all things Philmont with the goal of helping you have the absolute best Trek experience possible. Or we'll talk about some things outside of Trek. So we're going to say the best Philmont experience. It can be training center. It can be other programs that aren't a summer Trek or other season Trek. There are lots of things to do at Philmont. We tend to talk with the Facebook group Philmont Trek Talk. We tend to talk about Trek, but we can talk about anything Philmont related. Understand this is an unofficial discussion. None of us are getting paid to do this. We are all just people who like Philmont and want to help people have a better experience out there. So, hi, my name's Jeff. I'll be your tour guide this evening. I'm the former skipper of Sea Scout Ship 4019 in Burlington, North Carolina. I did a Trek as a youth, several as an adult. And I like to go as a Philmont Free Agent where I don't even know the crew. Sometimes I meet them in base camp and we go out and do a Trek together, and it's amazing. So, and that's me. We're going to go around the horn here and everyone can introduce themselves real quick. Douglas?
Yeah, my name's Doug Fashing. I am a former Philmont staffer, and more recently, I've been an advisor on 2 crews in the last few years, and I'm going again this summer, taking out a combined crew of several different troops in the area, and recently got back from PASS.
Oh, that sounds exciting. And you have leaked one of the topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about PASS. We're going to talk about getting crews ready for 2025 treks, for 2026 treks. Tessa has a secret thing that she's going to bring up. I'm not going to steal her thunder on that one. And then we're going to take questions. So if you have any questions out there, please leave them, and I will pull the chat window up so that we can follow along with those. Okay, Scott, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
You're good. You're good. Scott O'Mary, Scoutmaster of Troop 259 here in Plano, Texas, almost for 10 years. Been on a trek at Philmont, a winter adventure at Philmont, training center participant at Philmont. What I have coming up this summer is I'll be back at the training center as a faculty member at the Philmont Leadership Challenge at the Riata Ridge. Looking forward to that this August. And I'm getting 2 crews ready to go on their Philmont Trek in 2026. So doing a lot of backcountry training this spring. So looking forward to it. Over to Tessa.
Nice. I'm Tessa Fashing. There's some familiar names. Yes, I am Doug's daughter. I am a current Philmont staffer. I'm going to staff in the summer in the Ranger Department. So I've been there for a couple of years. So yay. I've also been on the STEM Trek and another just troop trek. And yeah, I love Philmont. Been very involved.
Excellent. We're happy to have you here. And just to clarify, you were here of your own recognizance, right? You are not an official representative.
I am not.
All right. I don't want to get anyone in trouble here.
Representing anything.
Yeah. We're happy to have you here.
Quote me. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm Darrel Tadsen.
In the mystery, yes.
Still haven't figured out how to get the camera turned on. Anyways, been a member of this panel for several years. Multiple treks and contingents to Philmont. Contingent advisor this year for 5 crews, 4 for next year, and just want to help everybody have the best experience they can at Philmont, and like the rest of them here, share my experiences and try to give some helpful advice.
Yep.
That sounds like a
Jeff,
good
are we protecting Doug's identity tonight for some reason? Or is that his real voice?
Oh, Darrel, you mean?
Yes. Well, I'm sorry. I said yes.
No, it's really AI.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can do. And I'll be honest with you, this isn't even the paid version. This is like the free version of the AI, Mr. Tadsen, Mr. T. So yeah, it's crazy. It's amazing what you can get these days. So we did mention.
Maybe if I paid, I'd get more than a black screen.
Yeah, well, you get what you can, right? Let's see. Since we did mention we're the unofficial discussion, there is an official discussion put on by Philmont. You may have seen a picture last month. I actually was there when they were setting up for their Philmont Preparedness seminar. I had a goal, and this was very important to me, to photobomb their official preparedness seminar at some point. And they strategically had security set up at multiple points, I think, just to keep me out. But as it turned out, I was on a tour of the Via Philmonte across the street at the time of their presentation. So I didn't even get to go harass them or anything. And it was like almost the last chance. The next one is April 16th. So that is 8 days from now. They do it on a Wednesday. So it'll be, is that correct? They'll do it next Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Here's the information. I try to make it small to make you work for it. Okay. If you get the information too easily, it's less meaningful to you, right? So April 16th, announcements and updates. This is where they're really dialing in the information that they're sharing. Please go check those out. They've recorded them as well. Lots of good official information. I think we're more fun, to be honest with you. Nothing against it. They're great people. They do a good job. I think we're more fun. So I appreciate everyone being here and participating in this. So let's see. That was the official one. And we'll show one more thing here. Actually, let me grab that link and drop it in the chat. So if anyone wants to go check out their official one. And then I didn't want to leave Scott out when he was talking about Philmont Leadership Challenge. So we have the link to that out in the chat. And then we also have, I clicked the wrong thing. Then we also have the link for the official Philmont Prep seminar. So those are both out there. Okay.
I hope they're going to talk more about the stream restoration there in base. That seems like it's probably one of the newest things that comes to mind for me.
Yeah. And that was kind of a late public announcement. I think they maybe had put some things out there, like a soft launch, that maybe it was out in writing somewhere, but they hadn't really called people's attention to it until recently, to my knowledge. So
the first announcement was the last prep seminar they had a month ago.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure they had a lot of background work going on before they made the announcement.
Yeah. So who has some information on that? Does anyone have the details in case anyone hadn't heard about it yet?
I had electronic discussion with logistics. The advisor who has access to the gateway, reservation gateway, when you go into your itinerary, you will see a banner that says whether or not your trek is eligible for I think that it's the Cimarroncito Creek restoration. I've been calling it the Base Camp Project.
Sure.
But it will tell you there whether your itinerary is eligible, for that alternate cons project. It will satisfy the requirements for the Arrowhead patch. You can continue to do the cons project that is assigned within your trek itinerary if you want, and it is my understanding that you could opt out once you get to that that site in your itinerary. You must sign up for this at least 2 weeks prior to your arrival at base camp. Only 4 crews will be allowed per day.
Right.
If you, when you log in and you see the banner, it will tell you whether there are still slots available or not.
That's good that they're managing all of that electronically. So if you are the appropriate advisor who has gateway access and you log in and you do not see it as an option, then that is an indication that the system believes your crew is not eligible. You're either not arriving at the right time or
for whatever
something.
Multiple reasons.
Right.
Not all itineraries are eligible. I did see a list of the 24. I think there was like 18 or 19. A high majority are eligible. Your cons project will be done on day 2, the day that you typically leave for the trail, not day 1 when you're doing all the base camp in processing, because you'll have a full day and not really a time to do the cons project.
Right.
I'm not sure what time in the morning on day 2 it will start, but you will be automatically assigned to a 1 o'clock bus out of base camp. So you'll have time to have lunch in base and then be transported to the trailhead on a 1 o'clock bus.
That's interesting.
I think that's all of the pertinent information, unless there's some questions either from the panel or.
The only other thing I would add is that at PASS they were telling us that one of the things that determined whether your trek was going to be eligible or not had to do with the shortness or ease of that first day on the trail. So if that first day on the trail you've got a lot of miles, or you've got a important program at a staff camp, you probably won't have that available. But if it's a quick and easy first day camp, you'll probably be more likely to be on that list. So how they determine that, I don't know, but that was apparently one of the main factors in figuring it out.
Right. And I know I worked with my crew advisors and of course let them make the decision, even though I, as a contingent advisor, I could sign them up. But we looked at when was their scheduled cons, and what were the activities the day before, the day of, and the day after. One of the itineraries had a cons project in the morning and like a 6 or 7 mile hike after that, which would make a long day, and they were headed to a staff camp and probably would end up getting to the staff camp late and not be able to participate in the program that day. So
I'm curious. I know some of the training center participants might have a cons project. I'm assuming those are mostly at the Ridge if they're doing their program at the Ridge, but there's some programs across the road. I'm wondering if that would afford those participants an opportunity to do cons if it's in base camp.
I got the feeling, I don't know the answer to that, Scott, but I think the base camp cons project is being limited to those that are going on treks.
Got it.
Okay. Lots of great information. Thank you for bringing that up, Darrel, and for all that background information, or Ed or Doug for bringing it up initially.
One other thing, that if you sign up, 3 weeks from now or whatever, you can go in and reverse that. you can cancel, your project if you subsequently choose not to do it. It's not, irrevocable.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So I think the big thing to me that it does is it helps alleviate the issue that we've seen year after year, where some itineraries, it doesn't matter what the crew does. There's just not enough time in the day on the day that they have cons project, a significant hike, and then there's program at the other end. They're going to get shortchanged somewhere. And there's really no way around it. And I think this gives a really good opportunity potentially to kind of front load that conservation work, so that they don't have to be in that unfortunate situation of making decisions of what to skip while they're out on the trail.
Could they do both?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. If
If
you
you're
want
only
to
going
do,
50 miler, you might need all those hours.
correct, you could get 6 hours in for sure, and then only have to do 4 back home or prior to your arrival.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I think we've probably covered that thoroughly enough for now. Why don't we let's talk to Tessa real quick about PhilBreak. So do you want to give us a description of what PhilBreak is, and tell us your history with it, what it is, what people might need to know if they're thinking about, hey, this sounds neat, maybe I should do that.
Yeah, for sure. So I have done PhilBreak for 4 years. And we've gotten to do a lot of, different service projects with the ranch and the conservation department, which is who PhilBreak goes through. So, like it says on there, there's a lot of assisting with the fire recovery and improvement efforts from the U Park fire, which happened in 2018. So, like building slash piles, burning them. We cut fire line, and just overall cleaning trails, clearing debris from, like, just I don't know what the word would be, but like just piles of it that needs to be moved, basically.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's a lot of heavy lifting, but there's also not a lot of heavy lifting. So it's a good, it's kind of a good mix for, every age, every ability. And just the work can depend on that. And they're very flexible for like giving you the work that you can do. So some things that go along with it is this conservation projects will start on the Sunday. So you arrive on Saturday, you have a nice dinner, you talk with some of the staff, and then the next Sunday you will drive out to the work site, and for the next 5 days until the Thursday comes around, you're moving logs, building piles, having good conversation with staffers, other PhilBreak people. And then in the evenings, they have kind of post-work activities where you could tour the villa. They have a PSA open house at the office, and you can go to the Tooth of Time Traders during their special hours. Now, the requirements for this are you must be a scout with Scouting America or, and a PSA member. This has evolved over the years, with sometimes, and none of this is official, but with sometimes they have lower registration. They may offer it to general scouting members and may open up to like Order the Arrow as well. So it kind of depends year to year, but that is what the requirements are on their page. You must be at least 18 years or older on your own, And if you're younger than that, then the minimum age is 16. And just the general like medical form that you'd need for scouting events and stuff. And then for this next PhilBreak, which will be a year from almost a couple of weeks ago, opens in like the early months of 2026. So if you're interested, be looking for that. Registration can fill up pretty quick, but also it's dependent. Yeah, there are 2 weeks. They generally include like a spring break that aligns with many universities. If you're in college or in high school, they usually have a week that you are able to go to. And there are those 2 sessions. You can go to both, or if you don't want to tire yourself out too much, you can just go to one. And those are $160 per session, and they're open to 30 people. This is really a super cheap way to give back to Philmont and to go to Philmont. So I highly recommend, if you're thinking about going out, or if you don't know how to go out and money might be the issue, this covers your roofed housing for the week, the dining hall meals, all of that is provided. You have access to showers, and so it's a really good way, a really cost-effective way to go back. And my last bit, and Jeff, you can chime in because I know you just came back from this too. For me, it's a great experience to see the ranch from another point of view if you have worked there or if you haven't in a while. And you just get some good conversation with people who work in the off season, or that you can build connections with from all over the place. You meet people, they do different things, and at the end of the day, all these people love Philmont. So yeah, I can drop the link to the website if you would like, Jeff.
Yes,
If
if you
got it in there.
Yeah, I'll just drop it in here.
Perfect.
I don't remember if the permissions will let you drop a link or not, but I just went ahead and dumped it out there so everyone can see it. It's on the philstaff.org. That's the Philmont Staff Association, or we call it the PSA. They call it the PSA. And I've been scrolling through some of the pictures here, among other things.
So Tessa, you mentioned you had to be a BSA member. I'm assuming most of our audience knows how to be a member of that. You mentioned possibly the Order of the Arrow sometimes. I'm assuming most of them, they not know how to be a member of the PSA. Do you have any information on that you can share?
So there are, my dad might be able to help with this more,
Okay.
but there's
I'll take that segue.
Okay.
Well,
go for it.
To join the PSA, you have to be a current or former staff member of Philmont. And there's some variety in that in terms of, if you remember Diamond H, those folks are in, as well as faculty members at the PTC. It's not open to advisors or people who have just done treks. So that makes it a little bit limited in that regard. But like Tessa was saying, the guidelines of who's able to participate have evolved over time and year to year, and they seem to be getting less stringent. So it gets advertised mostly through PSA, I would say. And at least this year it was registered through PSA, at least off of the website there. But it wasn't limited to just PSA members. It was open to any scouts who were interested in giving back to Philmont. So.
Yeah, 16 or older. Tessa, what do you think the age range was this year For we went to session 2, so I don't know who was there for session 1, but what do you think the age range was?
Well, I've been seeing a lot more like 16 to 20 something year olds. That was a really bigger increase. I think we had maybe like 7 or 8 of us were between those age ranges, and then above that it was I don't I don't really remember the ages, but
It was probably 50 and up. There not
yeah.
a lot of not a lot in the middle, right?
So in the
There's
morning,
not a big
yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I think it probably went from like early 20s to 45 or 50 and no one in between there. But then above there, I think it went up to the oldest person I saw. We do a stretch circle every morning before we started working. And at one of them, one of the guys said, "Hey, if you're over 70, step into the circle and put your hand up." And there were 5 or 6 people. I think 76 was the oldest one. That was not me putting my hand up. I may look that old and haggard and worn out, but I'm not quite that old yet. So yeah, I think the keys here, from my perspective, are I never worked at Philmont. I'm not a PSA member. They allowed people who are not PSA members to attend this year, and I was super nervous. I've never been nervous going to the ranch before. But I was super nervous this time, feeling like I was going to be out of place. Like this was going to all be former staff members, and they're all part of the club, and they all know each other, and it's going to be real cliquey. And I was there for all of about 2.5 minutes before I realized that I was completely stressing myself over nothing. There was nothing to worry about there. It was a very welcoming group. It was a great time. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of hard work, but there was also encouragement to take a break. Like no one needs to overwork themselves and have a medical issue. The people who wanted to work definitely burned their calories, and the people who wanted to hang out a little bit more were able to do that. And there was no shade any direction over any of that. So it was a really neat event with lots of behind the scenes access. And even just seeing the camps when they're empty. The different staff camps we worked at. I'd never been to Rocky Mountain Scout Camp before. We spent the first day in the field working there. So, and then when we went to Miners Park, and then we went, where'd we go after Miners Park?
Cimarroncita?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cimarroncita. I had not been to Cita before. I'd been to Cimarroncito, but not Cita. And then Indian Writings. I'd never been there either. I'd never seen the T-Rex track. So I saw a bunch of neat things there, as well as spending time around the cons cache. I had actually been in the cons cache several years ago. I shot a promo video for the individual Trek programs that the cons department runs, and we did it in the cache. That's the only time I'd ever been in there. Most Trekker people never even get to go in there. So it was really neat. Unfortunately, I have ridden in a Philmont vehicle before when I got a free ride from, where was I? Baldytown, and headed Dean back to the infirmary last summer with a broken foot. But for most people who trek, you never even get to ride in a Philmont vehicle, even something like that. It's like, it's a truck, right? It's a big, dirty truck, but it was still kind of neat to be able to do it. So lots of really cool stuff.
So 30 participants. How many support staff were part of the PhilBreak, roughly?
But they had 10 or 12, I think, is the number that I heard. So Lee, the head of the cons department, stopped by and said hi a few times. He didn't come out and pick up a shovel with us or anything, or spoon, whatever they call them. But he did stop by once or twice, and he spoke to us at the welcoming and then at the closing. And then Seth Eddington was he never called himself an overlord, and I don't want to mischaracterize what he did, but that's what I'm going to call him. He assigned all the tasks and kept everyone busy and made sure they had the right tools, and basically ran around frantically making sure no one was getting hurt and doing the right things. And then they had 2 teams of like 4 or 5 people that are con staff. So I think in the summer they have 100 or 120 people in the conservation department. And during this, they call it the winter season. I think they started out with, the 2 full-time people and then 12 or 14. And they had a little bit of attrition. So there were, 10 or 12 left when we got there. And all of them were working with us. Well, with the exception of the GIS coordinator who did come out and hike with us, but, she doesn't actually do the work crew stuff normally. It was really neat to get to see what the work crew does, the tools they use, all of that stuff, and the people. I can't say enough about the people. The staff were great, but then the people who come to volunteer, if you're going to pay, like for me personally, I got sucked in by for this year. It was $160. I was like, oh my goodness, $160. Even I can afford that. What I didn't realize is airfare has gone up a bit. It seems to be cheaper in the summer. I don't know. I was all in for about $1,000 for the trip. Between buying, like I bought some overalls. Oh, and I got a hard hat, which I didn't have to, but I thought it'd be kind of cool and snazzy. And someone I know gave me one of these smellable stickers, so I had to have something to put it on. So, does anyone know where you can get one of these stickers? If someone wants, I'm gonna take the screen so everyone can see.
It's a little small. I can't see it from.
All right, I clicked the wrong thing. That's how I do it, right there. Oh, look at that. Is that amazing or what?
Smellable.
Smellable. Yep. So, yeah. I think there's
You
might be
belong in the bear bag.
Yeah.
There's a holographic one here.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. Where did you get that?
Well, Tessa and I have made these the last few years, and when people are interested in them, or sometimes I'll take a big stack to Philmont with me when we're on a regular trek, and I just hand them out to staffers who did nice things or who were helpful or whatever. So it's fun to have a little water bottle sticker.
Nice. Yeah. All right. I like it. Well, Tessa, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you coming and sharing that information. Are you going to do it again? Are you done with PhilBreak, or are you like, I'm going to continue doing it forever?
I mean, just one more spring break. Who knows? No.
Yeah, I hear you.
I will say that I am feeling a little under the weather. So thank you for having me. But
Sure.
if there's anything else, I might.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, go take
Thank
care
you guys.
of yourself. Go drink some water. Maybe you're dehydrated.
I should drink more water. Yes.
You should drink. All right.
Have strength Gatorade.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye. All right. Now that she's gone, we can talk about her. No, but we wouldn't want to do that. So let's see. That was PhilBreak. And the other things we wanted to talk about, Doug, do you want to dive in and tell us what PASS is? And and also, I'd like you to address this concept that, like, I think, like, if someone cuts you, you bleed something that came from Philmont, right? Like, I don't know what it would be, the water from the river or dirt.
Oh,
or
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I will say that I don't ever think about it very much, but I do realize there's a lot more of my life that circles around Philmont than perhaps most other folks do.
Right.
I've met my wife there. My kids have been going out there for many years, you know, in baby carriers and strollers, and and now I'm glad to be out there as an advisor and be able to take new kids out there for the first time and have that kind of experience. So that's pretty awesome. So
And I brought up your background just to kind of highlight the idea that, and I want you to speak to this, that what I seem to have gotten from you is this idea that even someone who has, I mean, cumulatively, you probably spent years at the ranch, like literally throughout your life, right?
Sure.
And you went to pass. I'm like, okay.
Well,
I want to hear like what you got out of it, and like, would you recommend other people who think they understand the ranch and know things? You know, is it worth going in that scenario?
Well, PASS, Philmont Advisor Skill School. I think it's had different iterations over the years, but right now it runs Friday to Saturday or Friday to Monday. You arrive on Friday. You actually have some activities on Friday. On Monday, or actually they're done with you on Sunday, but you can stick around until Monday and have breakfast and then hit the road. Otherwise, you can actually be done and leave on Sunday. It is, in a nutshell, it is the first 3.5 days of a regular trek compressed into a tour and slideshow kind of format. So where you can walk around base camp and check out logistics and registration and the dining hall and those kinds of things. They do a quick circle and say, here's where we would do this. Here's where we would do this. Your ranger will drag you around, that sort of thing. We obviously didn't go all the way out to the opening campfire bowl or any of that kind of stuff. But in that case, there was pointing here and there. And then we went out in the backcountry. We went to Hunting Lodge and did an overnight there. So tour base camp pretty quick, and then straight into the backcountry and did ranger stuff. Learned about one pot cooking, learned about the Bermuda Triangle, hung bear bags, hung an oops bag. We even pretended to forget to brush our teeth so that we could literally hang the oops bag in the context of how that comes up. We got a nice side hike in up to Window Rock, and that was a fun opportunity to stretch my legs and find out whether or not my Oklahoma physique has gotten at least close to being able to deal with New Mexico's elevation and thinner air. But yes, this program is primarily aimed at first-time advisors who've never taken a crew out there, or who have been on a crew as a camper and have not been back to Philmont in a long time, and they're the lead advisor, or they're just an advisor who is very interested in seeing Philmont firsthand. Some folks can go through the advisor's guidebook, or they can be involved with groups like the Philmont Trek Talk group, or they can read brochures and they get enough out of that. Other people like to be a little bit more touchy-feely and experiential and be able to know exactly how far the trading post is from the dining hall and where the tents are, and see all that stuff firsthand. So it's really aimed at them. I primarily went because I was looking for a 4-day vacation. I am not as far away from Philmont as you are, so for me, it's about an 8-hour drive. But I have 3 advisors on my crew who've not been to Philmont before, and we couldn't work it out where we could all go, but I was able to grab one of my advisors who had not been there as an adult or as a camper, and she had a great time being able to see the kinds of things that we've been talking about in our shakedowns and phone calls and all of that kind of stuff. So she really benefited from it. There was one other guy who had been an advisor before. I think there were 3 or 4 folks who had come out on a crew as a kid. one guy had been there in 1984, so a lot of things had changed since 1984. We didn't have to learn how to soap pots or cook over a fire. So that was a fun change for him. And we had at least 2, maybe 4 guys who had been sort of just adult advisors or parents on the crew, and the lead advisors, for whatever reason, were not able to take the crew out after all. So they kind of were like, "Oh, I'm in charge now. You handed me the board. Okay." So they scooted out to Philmont, and at least based on what they had said, they definitely got a lot out of it. And they didn't think they were going to be as prepared as they'd like to be, but they were going to be able to get their crew much more prepared than they would have been if they hadn't gone to pass and hadn't experienced all those things firsthand and seen how things were done and what could be done. So
Doug, if we have people interested in doing PASS, I mean, how often are they held? How many sessions?
Well,
how many people are let go at a time?
Held throughout the off season, I guess. The schedule right now is all in the future of this summer. So there's one in October. I have it up somewhere. There's one in October, and then the next one is in January, and then February. I'm alt tabbing terribly between my. Here we go. What was it? Schedule here.
Schedule.
Oh, did you put it up?
Well, I'm scrolling. I zoomed in so much.
I thought I had it too, but now, man,
it's up here somewhere.
Oh, okay. Here we go. There's one in October, the 17th through the 20th. There's 3 in January, the 9th through the 12th, the 16th through the 19th, and then the 30th of January to the 2nd of February. And then there's 2 that start in February, the 13th through the 16th, and then the 27th to the 2nd of March. Those are $145. 2 of them, I'll let you look online when you guys go and look, but 2 of those, one in January and one in February, you can also stay an extra day. I think it's Tuesday. It might be more. Obviously, read the website, but you can stay an extra day and complete your wilderness first aid as an add-on for $125. So if by that time you're still missing a wilderness first aid, that would be a good time to pull that off as well. So.
In January and February, you could bring a crew with you, and they could do the winter adventure while you do your field pass.
Absolutely, that would be a good way to pair that up. Save on drive time, and maybe you could join them later in the week if you were staying longer. But yeah, that'd definitely be an enjoyable way to go. So I will say that I did get something out of it. I definitely enjoyed just meeting the folks that were out there. And this is, I hope this is going to resonate with more than just me and a guy named Steve who was out there. But our guide was walking us through hanging bear bags. And he was the kind of guy who really looked at how all these things are done. And he tried to imagine better ways of doing things. And his advice was you should have 2 people per line hoisting the bear bags up, 1 person doing the pulling, and the second person doing nothing more than coiling up the rope behind him, right? And then when you go to wrap it around the tree, it's already coiled up, and all you have to do is walk in a circle. You don't have to worry about tripping over the extra 20, 50 feet, whatever it is, of bear bag rope. And Steve and I looked at each other and we're like, it's so obvious, but miraculous at the same time. I can't believe I've been hanging bear bags the kids, have been hanging bear bags by walking in this circle around the tree, dragging a rope behind us, stepping on it, having to pass it back and forth. And we were just flabbergasted that we never thought to coil up that stupid rope and just have it in our hands. Anyway, so that was, I know that maybe that doesn't sound like worth an 8-hour drive and $145 or whatever it was, but it was really a aha moment for me on hanging bear bags.
There we go. And, I think any chance to your point about getting out there, a cheap way to get out there and have a little bit of vacation there at the ranch, while also learning something, getting to meet some people, right? Getting to see some behind the scenes stuff there at the ranch. Even something silly like access to go on a Via tour, the Via Philmonte tour, and see it while it's being renovated, or just go when they aren't back to back schedules. And, Rory, the curator, can actually stop and talk to you like as long as you want,
Right.
not to allocate his time. That's up to him. But, generally that's not an expectation in the summer. You have a different pace and different access to things when you're out there. They'll talk to you all day in the museum if you go,
And that was part of our schedule. I looked at the schedule for next year, and it looks like they've got a few things added on that we didn't do. But we definitely got a villa tour. Rory is always in fine form. I don't know how anybody can give the same tour 1,000 times and make it seem like he's given it 10 times. And this is number 11 where he's really perfected it. He does an excellent job. But yeah, we definitely got to see a few more things than normally would. We did the renovation was going on there. We got to go in the gun closet. I think you got to do that too, because it's a small group of people for that. Plus, we got herded in through the kitchen. So there's we saw the villa laundry room. Most people don't get to see. And we also ended up over at the National Scouting Museum, where Dave Warehane talked to us a lot, and encouraged us to make sure that we were putting the Scouting Museum as well as the Villa tour on our plans for the base camp day and that kind of thing. So but yeah, what you're showing is exactly what we did. That was we just did the first 3 days of Philmont compressed into a PowerPoint slide and walking tour pretty much.
And so something that you saw that we saw at PhilBreak a bit as well. These pictures are from the January pass, so not the one that you went to. But they had a little bit of snow there, and at PhilBreak, I could show if I can find some images here. Well, this is open on the wrong screen. This is going up the tooth, and there's snow. Like I literally fell in a hole between some rocks there because I stepped and the snow gave out. And but
I should
it's
say,
a different experience.
Pictures of the snow and talking about the cold. One of the things we did get from Philmont about a week before was notification that they would be able to outfit us with winter gear for that overnight. So if we needed to, we tapped into the winter program cache of sleeping bags and pads and jackets and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's amazing. All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I hope that we got a lot of people in our group who've never taken a crew. They've never been to the ranch. Like they can spell Philmont probably. I mean, maybe they're not sure if it's an F or a PH, but they generally have the idea, and they were reluctantly roped into taking a crew on a Philmont trek. And I think PASS a great way for them to get up to speed.
Absolutely. That would be, I mean, I would, I thought it was probably a good program and well worth it. I would almost say if you've never been to Philmont and you're an advisor and you're going in 2026, sign up for the October one right now. There's 12 spots available on all of them. Last I checked, October is great. Great time to be out there. January and February of next year are good as well. But I would do it. So.
Awesome. All right, good plan. And thanks for sharing that with us. I really appreciate that. I didn't ask you if I could do this, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it for Caitlin. Okay.
Okay. I see where this is going.
Yeah. I just took the screen down. I'm going to put it right back up. If you're not familiar with the Silver on the Sage podcast, you can go listen to Doug for 1 hour and 7 minutes. He was recorded a few years ago. I'm going to drop the link in here. It is a gripping tale. I say tale. There are multiple tales involved here. So certainly go check that out.
Caitlin is an excellent editor.
Yeah.
If I sound good, it's because of her. I'll tell you, the funny story about this for me is that this dropped while our crew was at Crater Lake. And my fellow advisor and tent mate immediately downloaded it and listened to it on the trail as we hiked somewhere. I don't know where we went the next day, but that was, if I could feel more embarrassment, I don't know how I could do that. So,
well, I was attempting to rival a bit of that, call it attention to it here, but I think you underdid your CV a bit looking at some of the things you've done there at Philmont. So, but what I want to call out is people who think like, oh, I backpack, whatever, I don't need to go to this. This guy has been to a lot of Philmont stuff and was a ranger and went to Philmont Advisor Skills School. If he can do it, you can do it. So be better prepared to help your scouts and the other adults have the best experience possible. And that's one of the tools that's available to you to help improve your experience. Okay. Thank you so much. Any other thoughts or questions before we move on to our next topic?
Nope. Thanks.
Sure. 2025 cruise. What should you be doing right now? That is the topic. Mr. T, I know you have a bunch of crews. Scott, you're getting crews ready for next year. We'll talk to, I'm going to ask you in just a minute because we are running out of our hour of time, but where should people be right now in their prep?
Out walking, hiking, definitely shakedown hikes, getting into the shakedown hikes where you at least have one overnight, not just a day hike.
Yeah.
The food list, from what I've heard, should be out in about another 3-4 weeks, the 1st of May. Those that have food allergies or whatever should be looking at that and reading the 2 guidebooks, the advisor guidebook, in particular on how to package and ship alternate food.
And labeled alternate food, I know.
Labels, the whole thing. Due to the wide variety of food allergies and so forth, Philmont does not provide the alternatives. You need to provide them yourself. So don't look to Philmont to, take care of your particular needs. You need to take care of them yourselves. Other than that, shakedown hikes, if you haven't, your payments are due. Get those in. One thing that I did that I ran into that point of clarification on the wilderness first aid and CPR, I have a physician on one of my crews. his medical license will give him a pass on the wilderness first aid training, but it will not give him a pass on CPR.
Awesome. That makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah. So he's scrambling now to find a CPR course.
Wow.
To take because
I saw a thread. I saw a thread in our Philmont Trek Talk group on Facebook in the last couple of days, where some medical professionals were talking about how they appreciated the wilderness first aid course, even though they don't have to. They get a pass. They don't have to take it. They were saying, "Oh yeah, this is different than what I do on a daily basis. I took it, and I will take it again when it expires."
Yep. But I particularly asked them and said, okay, here is the medical license for this person, and this is good for first aid or wilderness first aid. Yep. I said, can we upload this for CPR? And they said no. And evidently it's not just a Philmont guideline. I was told that it was a national BSA, Scouting America, excuse me, a national policy.
Yeah.
So that came as kind of surprise. I thought you could use it for both, but evidently not. So.
Right. So that's a very good point. A good discussion point to talk about making sure everyone has all of that stuff done. I love the point about getting the miles in and hiking, because in my mind, I think one of the things that people are less prepared for generally is the grind of hiking day after day after day after day when you're not used to it. So I would say in your preparation, please try to get out there and do multiple days in a row. Like, you don't have to spend all day hiking, but hike every day, even if it's just a mile. Get a mile in 5, 6, 7 days in a row, just so your body is used to doing these repetitive motions that you're not used to. If you're like me, this is my desk. This is where I am all day, every day. I just sit here, right? I'm not in shape to go out and get on the trail at a moment's notice. I got to prep for that. And, I think most people do too.
Yeah. And there's one lady and her son that posts regularly. She walks a parking ramp, the stairs, and I believe she started walking, the safety being an issue, but started actually walking the incline where the cars park, rather than just stairs. Get the incline both up and down.
You know what? If you're at work, you don't have your pack, walk without the pack. Just start walking.
Yep.
For sure.
So anyways, get those certifications in. Wilderness first aid. The medicals are good for 1 year through the end of the month. So if your trek happens to be July 15th, but you had your physical July the 2nd of the previous year, it's good through July of this year. So,
And along those lines of medical stuff, almost everybody in my crew, because of the timing on their healthcare stuff, haven't been able to get physicals until this month. So those are good to get into the portal as soon as possible. I think Philmont says they'd like them by May 1st, but they would like them before you arrive as much as anything. And start making sure that you're, if you have a EpiPen or any kind of prescription meds, that it's not expired. So,
If you put that prescription on your medical form, they're going to want to see it at medical recheck in the original container, so that they can check for expiration and quantity to to carry you through the trek. After that, you can break it apart and put it in your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday pill bottle or whatever. But get those in, and they are doing through the gateway. They are linking a lot of the information to the national registration. So if you list a participant as Ben Smith, it may not go through because he's registered nationally as Benjamin. So they're doing a lot of that checking in the background, the same way with the Scout ID and that information. If it's not the way that individual is registered nationally, it's not going to let you upload. One thing that I find kind of hard to work with is you can't, in the gateway, when you list a participant, you can't list some of the information and then save it and go away and come back. You have to fill the whole thing out before it will save it.
Yeah. So I would say along that line, that's something I found out the hard way in registering for PhilBreak using the gateway. It's the first time I'd ever been in the gateway because I've always been an advisor, but not a lead advisor. I've never had access to the gateway. I mean, who in the right mind would trust me with access to the gateway? Seriously. But so I get in there and I had a tetanus shot I needed to get. It wouldn't let me save any of my work. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? And I could only imagine if you had a crew of 12 people and each person had one little thing, like you could put everything in.
Yep.
And then end up like 12 different times. And then if each person had one little thing, it wouldn't let it save. You just wasted all that time. So
Right.
I would say if you are a lead advisor, if you're the person responsible for inputting that information, do one as soon as you can, just so you can identify what all the fields are and understand, so you can kind of pre-screen and make sure you know everyone has all their ducks in a row before you start entering it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with losing. It's going to be very frustrating.
Well, to that point, Jeff, when you go into the gateway, there is a data sheet that you can download that has all of the various information details they want. And if you get that filled out ahead of time, either yourself or the participant, you can just copy the information in, so you know what all the blanks are.
Yeah.
Also, any make sure your roster is up to date 30 days before your arrival. Any ads after that will incur a $150 late fee. So,
And I have had to pay that late fee before, so
yeah.
they do enforce that.
Yep.
Okay, some things I want to share here on the screen. I'm on the wrong page here. Couple articles that may be useful to you at this point. We still have time. I am seeing discussions about weight for adults and what if we're close? How much leeway do they give us? And like, I'll tell you right now, plan on, like, if you're not 5 pounds under whatever your max is, then you're overweight. That's the way I look at it. If you don't have a buffer to deal with, maybe you're retaining water that day, maybe their scale reads differently than the one that you are used to using at home, or whatever reason. You could have a 5 pound swing is not unheard of or unrealistic to expect that it could happen. Get yourself at least 5 pounds under whatever your limit is, and make sure that whatever number you are using to determine your limit, whatever your height number is, it's a real number. I had a little extra time. I got to the ranch early last summer, a couple days before my crew, and spent a few days shadowing people in different departments around base camp. I sat in med recheck for a half a day, And I saw multiple people get sent away. Like they get sent across the street, and I'd find out later, oh yeah, of the 8 that I saw get sent, or 4, or however many, 2 of them got sent home and 2 were allowed to stay. At that point, in midway through the summer, 78 people had already been sent home because they showed up. Almost all of them were weight. There were a couple that were other things. Almost, probably, I don't know, 65, 70 of them, probably, if I remember the numbers right, were weight. Weight is something that in advance. And, I am going to say that you have some control over. We have time now to deal with that. I got an article here, Philmont Adult Crew Advisor Physical Preparation, that talks about getting your trail legs, getting ready for that daily grind of hiking, getting your weight down. That's something I wanted to share with you. Another one here, Introduction to Time Management by an exclusive author, very, very skilled author, Mr. Scott O'Mary. It's a 3-part series. I'm just showing you the first one about time management. And it is really important. Philmont's not like a normal backpacking trip because you have program and other things involved. If you haven't internalized this as an advisor and perhaps shared it with your crew leader, maybe consider checking it out and thinking about sharing it with your crew leader. If you are from an area that doesn't have altitude, then we have an article also by Scott that will help you understand, preparation. Is that behind Apache Springs, Scott? I'm just curious. That picture?
Hey, that is up on the way to Baldy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say that looked a little steep at the top. Okay, so that's another one that you can share if you're from an area where you may have altitude issues. And then the last one that I wanted to be sure to share with people, and I shared it in the group on Facebook recently, is this where to get wilderness first aid training, because I can tell you I've been there where, hey, you got to go. The training you were scheduled for gets canceled. Oh no, what do you do? The whole crew's depending on you. There are a lot of resources. Lots and lots of resources that are available for places that you can get wilderness first aid training. So hopefully this will help people panic a little bit less when you find yourself in a bind and you need to get wilderness first aid training quick. But also I understand that if you can get out to the ranch a couple of days early, you can probably arrange for wilderness first aid training. I don't want to say that as if it's fact. Look into it. I believe I've heard that sometimes through the training center or elsewhere, they can get people up to speed for what is it, $175 or something for wilderness first aid training, something like that. Okay, we have gone 10 minutes over. And I do appreciate all of you hanging around as we went over a little bit. The one thing that I committed to someone else that we would cover, I completely neglected to talk about. We need to cover it, and then we can shut her down. How do you celebrate things on the trail with your crew? And I actually got a private message from someone asking, hey, we have someone in our crew that's going to have a birthday. And if you think I'm talking about you, I am, or I'm not. Actually, I don't want to set expectations. And I'm probably not talking about you. Don't expect your crew to do something special for you this summer. But if you have someone in your crew and you realize that they're going to have a birthday or some other big something happen while you're on the trail, what ideas do we have for what they can do to make it make this already special trek a little bit more special for the birthday person or whatever? Ideas, please.
Well, I think if they're turning 17 to 18, aren't they 17.9 until the end of the trek? Just in case that's a concern there. But I think, some of the easy things are if it happens early enough on the trail, there's the ranger will be with you, and there's generally a pound cake involved. They might be able to spice that up with frosting and sprinkles or a candle or that kind of thing. I wouldn't lean too hard on backcountry staff necessarily to pull out something crazy, but it might be possible to talk to a staff camp and get some fresh fruit or maybe a can of peaches. Peaches were a thing in my day. I don't even know if they put peaches in cans anymore. That used to be a good way to bribe crews to do chores for you didn't want to do.
I think it's pudding cups now, isn't it?
Pudding cups. I know I had a crew that drank a lot of shelf-stable chocolate milk at Miners Park a while back, and then we hiked another 5 miles. I don't know if that was a gift or a curse, but
right.
If you can get in touch with people early on, that's an option. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, following in on you, Doug, there. Usually if you tell a staff camp, they'll even make simply an announcement at their campfire or whatever. Hey, Billy's got a birthday, let's all sing or whatever. But sometimes they, like I said, they'll come up with something. Also let the base camp, if it happens to be your first or last day, there'll be a raucous happy birthday song in the dining hall.
Yes.
One year we had it, and the advisor spoke with parents and the other crew members, and I don't know how he kept it a secret, but he brought a bunch of birthday cards with him on the trail. He had them in his backpack, and on day 4, he broke them all out, and they sang happy birthday to the young man, and here's birthday cards from your mom and your grandma and things like that. So made it special.
Yeah. We had 4 people celebrating birthdays on our last trek,
Wow.
but we were spread
You
on
mean
2
for real?
crews.
For real, or like people do at the Mexican restaurant, so they get the hat
for
and
real. 4 different people
wow.
on 2 crews, so we weren't going to be on the trail together with all of them. So when we checked in the day of, the adults, when we were squaring up our finances, were able to order sheet cake with them. I don't know if they still do that or not. And it was waiting for us when we all came back off the trail. We had a big celebration there in the dining hall, like Darrel said, but with a big cake.
Not only birthdays, our crew, we're typically out there on Father's Day, and one of the other advisors, or moms and sons gave cards to the advisor to hand out to the other advisors on Father's Day, and maybe the young man had cards and presented it to dad on that day.
All great ideas. I like that. And I think my thought on that, lots of great ideas. Be creative. You don't have to carry a bunch of heavy stuff if you don't want to. People say it's the thought that counts. And I think just knowing and recognizing and, a little kindness and enthusiasm and love among the crew is probably going to go a long way if you want to take something light. I'm a big fan of those little conical cardboard hats. They weigh next to nothing. I don't know how you carry them without breaking them, but maybe someone stacks them all together and puts them in a big pot or something. I don't know.
They have a big ram on it. They can serve double duty.
Get the crown from Burger King and pack that away.
Yeah. A lot of different options where you don't have to carry a bunch of heavy stuff, but you could still do something to recognize. I will throw some love out there for the people of the staff camps that go above and beyond, but I'll also suggest please don't put them in a bad position and act like you expect them to just drop what they're doing and do something special for you. It may be a big deal to you, and they may even want to help, but sometimes they have other things going on. They can't do it. So please don't put them in a position where, like, if you don't help me, this is going to all fall apart and it's going to be terrible because the kids are expecting it. Don't do that. But certainly, if you have something cool and you'd like to offer to involve them or ask them to make an announcement at a campfire, whatever, certainly do that. See if they have any bribery stuff if you like as well, like the pudding cups.
Yeah, thanks for that disclaimer. I should have done a better job of that as a former camp director.
Right. Well, but
Well,
you know how it is. People, the camp directors generally set a tone of you are expected to bend over backwards and smile while you're doing everything in your power to make this a better experience for the trekkers. And I don't think that the trekkers necessarily get that that's happening behind the scenes. So, so yeah, I mean, I would expect a camp director to be like, well, yeah, they'll do it, but. Anyhow, we're almost 20 minutes over. So, anything else that anyone wants to cover before we check out of here? Okay. If not, then I think we're ready to shut it down. Is anybody not ready?
Anybody not ready? Hike on.
Hike on.
All right. We'll see you next month.
Thanks.